How's it going, everyone? Tips and Tricks Gaming here, and welcome back. Today's video is going to be a video on a stamina NightBlade PvP build. I know, crazy, it's not a DK. Anyway, yeah, it's really fun, actually. I made this and I've been tinkering with it after the Tamriel 1, I think it's called, update, where they changed a bunch of stuff, added weapon ultimates, everything like that. Anyway, so as you might have noticed by the title of said video, I call this the glass cannon. Very fun. You're a very fragile NightBlade, even though you're on the front lines a lot. You're very fragile, but you hit like a truck. And that's just how it is. And although it seems like it can be unviable-ish, trust me, being on the offensive all the time really just negates the fact that you can't really take that many hits, because I go against, whether it be in duels or in open Cyrodiil, I go against Stamplars and DKs, whether it's stamina magic based, and I can hold my own just because of the fact that we're on offense all the time. We're forcing the opponent to heal and to be defensive and la la la. Anyway, so before we get to the middle of this video and everyone's going like, oh my god, this sucks, let me go to the comment and rip on this dude because he has no soul, I'm gonna go through some pros and cons. Just because I don't want to deal with this later. I'm a soulless person. So let's start with the cons, because then we can go to the good things. Cons, not a lot of range on both bars. We are using melee weapons. We're not having a bow. I know a lot of stamina builds, they use poison injection, which it is very powerful, or snipe, either way. All we're using for our range is our gap closer, which is ambush. So that's all we have. It's really not that bad because ambush has a decently long range, so you're really not ever in harm's way. The only problem is when we're facing like a Magicka Sork and they're using mines. Anyway, so yeah, not a lot of range. Secondly, not a lot of recovery or sustainability. And I know that sounds big red flags, don't use this, but it's fine. It's okay, because it's not terrible, because the way that we set up is we try to negate all of our stamina costs with Magicka abilities on our bars that we use for utility purchases instead of DPS, which you see in a lot of builds, obviously. But we're going to use a lot of Magicka utility abilities that are going to negate the use of stamina and allow us to hit hard. Yeah, so those are the major cons. Not a lot of recovery, not a lot of range. Other than that, the pros. The pros, you hit very, very hard. That's a good thing. And you hit very, very fast. The burst on this is really substantial and helpful depending on whether you're popping out of stealth and attacking an unwary group of people, or if you're in a Zerg or something and you're trying to pick off that one guy that's in the back healing everyone. Whatever your motives are, that's a pro. Second pro, it's super versatile, whatever. And what I mean by that is, I'll talk about that later when I talk about equipment. You can throw on any head and shoulder piece and make this build work based on how the 5-piece is set up. Right now, I'm using Molokina just for the damage, and I'll talk about that more in depth. But yeah, you can really set up any monster set. It's like really monster set dependent, so you can like throw on the new ones like Stormfist or Celine's Web if you want to hit harder over a longer period of time. But yeah, so those are the pros. Pretty fantastic. Let's jump into the actual specifics. So we're gonna jump into my character. As you notice, unbuffed, I have 3,000 weapon damage, and I only have 1,000 stamina recovery. Let me start off by saying we do use a tri-stat food, or you can use max stamina plus max regen for stamina. Either way, 3,000 weapon damage. I know that's not the max. I understand that there's builds that have higher stam regen and higher weapon damage. That's not the point. A lot of this build is for people who, with a new update, kind of don't have a direction to go. Either way, it's super easy to play, in my opinion. It's not that hard to get a hold of. You can master it pretty simply, fast, and then you're able to go out and use it in PvP and hold up against some of the really magnificent builds and people that have tinkered and have all gold and, you know, whatever. So yeah, I only have 3,000 weapon damage, 42% critical. Decent. And then 1,000 stamina recovery, and then we're rocking 32 max stamina, and I'll talk about that when I get into the glyphs and stuff. Increases all primary, and we're using the warrior because I want to hit hard. That's that. So buffed up with rally, we're sitting at, I believe, 3,500. 3,541 weapon damage. Not terrible, not amazing, but it's enough because the equipment. So let's go talk about that because I keep bringing that up. So we are using, first off, for our weapons, first bar is going to be Lucky's, or 2-piece Lucky's, and then we're going to be using dual wield. And then back bar is going to be a 2-hander. And I'll talk about skills in just a second. I just want to really get the important part, which is the equipment. So I am using Molokina's Mask Man, it's about to break, and Stormfist Pauldrons. Unfortunately, those are heavy. We want to be running all medium, 7-piece, all medium for this build. Simple. Unfortunately, after hours and hours and hours of farming, I got the worst trait, Stormfist Pauldrons, and I don't have a medium blood spawn. But you can use blood spawn if you want to rock exactly what I'm rocking. because it gives the 124 stamina recovery. I need to put a new glyph on that. Didn't catch that. Anyway, so Moakinas. Extra weapon damage, plus with the shoulder we get the extra stamina recovery, so it's kind of best of both worlds, or whatever. And then we're going to be using 5-piece Strength of the Automaton set. This is a new set with the Tamriel 1 update. It comes from the Darkshade Caverns, I believe. Farm it on Vet. And for you who don't know, 5-piece adds 386 weapon damage to your physical damage ability. Plural. Lucky for us, our main DPS and burst damage is a physical Nightblade ability, not poison or disease damage. It is all physical, so it actually does scale with that. And then that compared with this. Now, the reason I was talking about one of the pros that is very versatile and situational build, and you can kind of change it, is you can always put in something different. If you don't want that extra 124 weapon damage, you don't have to. You can put in 2-piece Stormfist. Or maybe you want to rock Celine's Web, where you get that extra like 12k melee damage on direct damage. Very, very helpful. I've seen it in duels all the time, and it hits hard. So if you want to use that, go for it. It's still viable. For jewelry, we're using 3-piece necklace, or 3-piece agility set. The reason for this is I know you can get the King Drew set, I believe, where it also gives 2 ticks of weapon damage if you were to put it in your weapons too. But it makes it easy because this way you can get Lucky's set, which is super easy to get. It's like 4k in a trader, or like 2 hours in PvP in your Lucky, like whatever. It's not that hard to obtain. I use Precise on them, weapon critical values by 3%. And so that 2-piece will give us the weapon damage. Whatever Lucky's battle, or whatever battle axe you want to use, or sword, or maul, whatever you want to use for your 2-hand, it doesn't really help us at all, unless you have like a Maelstrom or Master 2-hander. So yeah, we're using the 2-piece Lucky's and then 3-piece agility set, which gives us our extra weapon damage, and it gives us that maximum stamina. Very helpful. I'm running maximum stamina on everything except for the pauldrons, because I'm stupid and haven't changed that. But you want to be running maximum stamina on everything, because since we don't have great recovery, you want to have a really big pool of magicka to be able to fall back on if anything goes bad during the fight. Okay, so let's go run into the skill section. DPS bar. This is going to be our executor. Seeing how we are using dual wield instead of our 2-hand for our DPS bar, we don't want to be using execute, obviously, so we're going to be using Killer Blade. Also, it costs less. Win-win, I guess. Whatever. That. Next up, Blood Craze. This is kind of a throw what you want in there. I kind of use this as a substitute for poison injection because we are not using a bow. This provides a decently powerful dot. It's about 1,000 a second, give or take. It's not amazing, but you also get a 5k heal total from it, ish, depending on if it crits or not or whatever. So you heal for almost 1,000 every 2 seconds. It's almost a 10-second duration, so about 900 HP over the duration. It's helpful. It helps with our sustain a tiny bit. Next up, Mass Hysteria, and like I said, Magicka utility abilities. Obviously, every Nightblade runs this, pretty self-explanatory. Fear people, it's our CC, and then after recovering, they deal reduced damage, so pretty powerful. You want to, every time you do not see the swirling thing around your enemy's feet, you want to use this because you can either set up a heavy attack to recharge your stamina, you can put on the dot, you can use an ult without them being able to roll dodge it, depending if they break out in time. So this is really important. Bread and butter of the Nightblade build. Next up, Ambush, our distance closer. So obviously we're using the stamina buff, pretty self-explanatory, and also grants a power. So obviously if you have not played the Nightblade very much, you know that you pop this right before you pop any ultimate. The extra 20% damage, very, very, very helpful. Whether you're using Incapacitating Strike or another ultimate like Dawnbreaker. You can use Dawnbreaker too. Next up, main DPS and burst damage. Surprise attack. It's really important to remember that every time you use surprise attack, you weave a light attack in between. Very helpful. Not only will it set off if you're using poisons or an enchantment on your weapon, it will do that, and it adds like anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 extra damage instantly by canceling the animation of it without using any resources, and that's a lot. And if it crits, it can be very helpful. So you can be doing double damage just by weaving light, and it costs no extra time, basically. I am using Incapacitating Strike, even though it does not receive the buff from the Strength of the Automaton set. It still has a huge amount of weapon damage already from the 3,500. The 3,500 that explains on my tooltip and my character is not based off of the Strength of the Automaton set. It does not go toward your like actual base weapon damage. It doesn't like say it. So I still hit for 13k unbuffed. that's enough. That's good enough for us if we want to like get someone down to execute range really fast. Like if it's a Stam Templar and they keep healing, but you want to make sure you get a lot of damage off really fast, you can pop Mass Hysteria, then ambush, then incapacitating strike. Jesus. The reason I say pop Mass Hysteria first is because a lot of the time, if you pop ambush in the middle of the fight, your enemy instantly knows you're going to come up with an ultimate, they'll roll dodge, you'll miss it, there goes all your ultimate, and you're back to square one trying to sustain and not die because, you know, we're a glass cannon. Very important. Do that first, I'm telling you. Alright, back bar, which is our buff bar, has a little bit of leniency in it. So, I am using double take. You can use evasion from the middle or the medium armor skill tree. It's obviously viable, it does almost the same thing, the only difference is we get extra speed and an extra 6 seconds. I only use double take because I am not a person who uses stealth very often. If you use stealth in Shadowy Disguise, if you use that often, change this to evasion. That way you can negate the cost of magicka, and you can use your magicka for being, you know, hidden, or hiding, or 1vxing, and you want to get out of harm's way for a second to recharge and get some more HP. So yeah, double take or evasion. I use double take because I don't use stealth very often. I like to be on the front lines, and I just heal with vigor. So, next up, rally. This is going to give us our major brutality, increasing our damage by 20%, or weapon damage. And also the heal, very important. You want to always have this up, and keep it up as long as you can. Never panic hit this button, it's terrible. You pretty much waste the usage of it. If you are going low on health and you know that Rally's only been running for a tiny bit, try to use Vigor and wait it out, because the longer you wait, the better the heal. You'll get upwards of 10k at the very end of the duration, which is like half of our HP. So, very helpful. This spot right here, completely dependent on your playstyle. It's not super important to the build. I use it when I'm in open Cyrodiil with lots of enemies, or Zergs or whatever, or sieging. 1vxing, anything along those lines. You know, you can get out of there, get your health back, and then strike again really quick, really fast with our huge weapon damage, do a lot of damage, then go back into stealth, and be that pesky little guy that everyone hates. Whatever. I don't judge. I usually run this in open Cyrodiil, like I said. If I'm dueling, or if I'm like questing or something, and I'm trying to watch out for certain like 1v1s or whatever in any scenario, I put, what is it called? Oh, Trap Beast, Rearming Trap. Put Rearming Trap, very helpful. It has a huge dot. It's actually really, really powerful. I believe it's like upwards of 10,000 in a couple seconds, or whatever time it is, which is very helpful. It helps with your DPS, especially in duels, because it resets, you know, so you have that kind of fallback method. It snares, so it's a soft CC, helps with you get away, and you can use Vigor a couple times and get your HP back. Next up, siphoning attacks. Very important, even though I believe it got nerfed. Not in this update, but one before. Anyway, very important because since we do not have an amazing amount of stamina recovery, we need something to get back our stamina. So this makes it so every light attack that we weave in between those our surprise attacks that we are using, because, you know, like I said, it's very important to do that, gives you 1,000 stamina and magicka, both for stealth and for, you know, using Mass Hysteria or whatever. Very important, very helpful. It pretty much turns, having this active while doing your bursting DPS, literally turns the cost of this to 700 stamina. Because every time you weave, you're getting 1,000 stamina back. So you're pretty much literally using 700 stamina per surprise attack if you weave a light attack in. Also, with this morph, you get a 10% chance to restore 2,000 magicka with all direct damage. I don't notice it happen too often, but when it does happen, when like I'm CCing and I see it go up, you can literally like, you stay on the offensive longer without having to go in stealth or without having to use Mass Hysteria, so that's great. And then obviously Resolving Vigor, which is another one of our heals. Our main heal, as long as we can use this without keeping up Rally, that's great. And then Blood Craze I keep up just for that extra tiny bit of heal. But yeah, main heal, over 5 seconds, pretty important, honestly, self-explanatory for any stamina build. And then for the ultimate, now the ultimate doesn't really, like, it's whatever you want. I actually just started trying Berserk Strike. I like it, to be honest. If I'm on the defensive and I have that ultimate built up, popping this makes, like, I wouldn't say you indestructible. You can obviously still take damage, just like any heavy armor build. But it makes you a lot more resilient and resistant to attacking, and you can be on the defensive a little bit longer without having to be forced to, like, watch out for your resources and change your plan of attack. So you can use Soul Tether if you'd like. You can use Dawnbreaker if you'd like. You can use really anything. I don't even know. Like, whatever you want. I just use this because it gives you the extra resistance back to you. I haven't morphed it yet. I just started using it. So you know, I'm not sure how amazing it'll be, but either way, haven't morphed it. I know that when you morph it, you can turn it into the one that gives you all your ultimate back if you kill someone, which is what I'm planning on doing. Very helpful. Yeah, so those are the skills. And like I said, this is kind of a glass cannon build. We're going to be wanting to use maximum, or tri-stat, primary, foods, the warrior. So that's that. I guess we could hop into the champion points really fast. Now, as I always say in my videos, I'm not max champion points. I am literally too lazy. Judge me. I really don't care. I'm soulless. I'm too lazy to go farm them. So I'm going to tell you what you should do with max or whatever. So we're going to start in the highest. We're going to start over here. So 100 in Mooncap. We don't have a lot of recovery. We need everything we can help with that recovery. So obviously the 100 in Mooncap. Put the rest into Warlord. So what I mean by that is 100 Mooncap and then 32 in Tumbling. Makes it so we can roll dodge, because we obviously don't want to be blocking very often. It gets rid of our stamina too quick. This, plus with the medium armor passives, roll dodging costs literally nothing. So very important. We want that. And then the rest put into Warlord. So if I do my math somewhat right, you should have an extra 30 points, because I'm only at 400 and something. So you should be, you know, 40 points more. This will help out a lot, especially in PvP, like Open Cyrodiil-wise, with the reduced cost. Pretty much just another way to keep us going longer without having to go into maybe invisibility or something like that. Okay, next up. We put all of them into this, as dumb as that sounds, just bear with me. 100 into Mighty. Important. Makes us hit super duper high. If you did not notice, my tooltip for surprise attack was 9k without being buffed. That's decent. That's enough to hit very, very, very hard. So, you want that. 20 in Precise Strikes. Just increases damage and healing dealt by weapon crits. You know, we have a 42% weapon crit. It happens more often than you think. So, having the extra damage dealt by your weapon crits helps out a lot. Piercing. Increases physical penetration. I would put the rest in Piercing or this, only because you can, like, whatever. It helps with your damage with weaving. I believe you can put it in over here. You can put the rest in Thermaturge if you want to hit higher with your dots, like, for instance, Rearming Trap, Blood Craze, the Dual Wield Dot, or you can put the rest in Piercing, which increases your physical penetration. It literally doesn't matter, the rest of those points. As long as you have 100 Mighty and at least 20 in Precise Strikes, whatever fits your playstyle best for the mage points, put them into that. Next up, where are we going? We're going over here. So 7 into Hardy, 50 into Elemental Defender, 5 into Thick Skin. We want to be somewhat resistant. You know, I mean, we are a glass cannon. That's kind of the basis of the build, but that doesn't mean that we want to lose instantly after the first strike. So this kind of makes it so if we fail our initial assault, whether it be out of stealth, whether it be us popping our ult, whatever it is, it makes it so we can fall back and not instantly die with no resistances. So it just increases the amount of resistances we have. And then 11 in Quick Recovery. Put the rest into Quick Recovery. Makes us heal more. Makes you very much sustainable. It actually does make a difference, surprisingly. So yeah, those are my champion points. Like I said, I'm not maxed out. If you want to change what you're rocking for your playstyle, please do. Always, 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 always throw those in the comment section down below. Help me make a better build. This build is really attuned towards people who kind of don't know where to go for their Nightblade, Stamina Nightblade. So that's what this is. It's relatively easy to get the equipment for it. And what I mean by that is, although Molokina sucks, whatever, to get, it's possible. You can either rock any monster set. Any at all. I don't care. It literally doesn't matter. I just rock this because I want to be able to have the extra stam recovery and the extra damage. Both. However, Automaton's Jack, unfortunately I don't have divines on them all, and that's, trust me, if you farm for it, you will realize that it's a pain in the ass to get all divines. I only have a couple pieces. But either way, it's not that hard to get the strength of the Automaton set. It takes a couple hours, I'll be honest, but if you sit in Darkshade Cavern, whether you're speedrunning with someone who wants to get the jewelry, the reason that I am using 5 pieces so I can share it with you guys, because getting the jewelry pieces or the weapon pieces takes a very, very long time. I feel like it's much easier to either buy or get the trophies to get an agility set, and I'm running Robust and then 1 healthy for that extra 1,000. It's a lot easier to get an agility set and a 2-piece Lecky set than it is to get the jewelry for automatons. So yeah, 5 pieces of automaton in Darkshade Cavern, really worth it. That's the build, that's what I've been using lately. Super, in reality, it's pretty powerful, especially in duels, and I didn't tailor it towards duels at all. I know that we don't have a lot of AoE at all. But that wasn't the point of it. I only built it for open world PvP generally in Cyrodiil, just, you know, trying my best because I'm not the greatest. I'm a favor of the DK. But yeah, it's very helpful, and it works in duels really well. And I know like people are setting up tournaments and stuff. It'll get the job done. Especially you can 1vx if you are using shadowy disguise and stuff like that. You can make it happen. You have to be somewhat familiar with the build. I would not recommend putting this whole build together and all this stuff and then running out, because it takes a while to get used to how the automaton jack like applies to damages, because it only does physical damage. So like incapacitating strike and any disease damages doesn't count towards the max from what I've seen. So yeah, anyway, as always, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comment section down below if this build helped you or if it didn't. If this build is trash, tell me, because I'm soulless and I don't care and I don't have feelings. Tell me what I can do to make it better, because I just want to be as good as other people. I just want to be able to hold my own in PvP. This is what's working for me, but I know that there's always better alternatives, always better setups. If this helped you in any way, yeah, hit that like button, hit the subscribe. If you would like to see more content about ESO, other video games, let me know about that. Always drop comments in the section below. If you have suggestions for future gameplay, videos, guides, tutorials, anything like that. And yeah, as always, until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.